Be prepared, because what's coming tomorrow isn't symbolic, it's seismic. On May 18th, the sun aligns with Uranus and Taurus. And when that happens, the field doesn't just shift, it fractures. You might already feel it. That strange static under your skin, the impulsive thoughts that make no sense, the way time is moving like it's breaking apart from the inside. This is not chaos. It's a quantum detonation point. And the truth is, if you keep trying to act normal, plan normally, speak normally, you're going to miss what this energy is really doing to your system. Because this alignment doesn't unfold gently. It interrupts, it disrupts, it electrifies every part of you that's still operating on an outdated code. Keep watching, because what you choose to do in the next 24 hours will determine what version of you crosses into the next frequency. This is not just a transit, it's a trigger. And if you're feeling the tremor already, you were meant to hear this. There are astrological events that pass quietly, leaving behind subtle impressions. This is not one of them. The Sun-Uranus conjunction on May 18th isn't here to whisper change into your life. It's here to break it open. Not to destroy, but to dislodge. Not to ruin, but to reveal. And if your system has felt increasingly unstable these last few days, this is why. You're not off track. You're not scattered. You're standing inside a field that's cracking, not from weakness, but from voltage. This conjunction is an ignition point, and Uranus doesn't ask for permission. It enters like lightning and rewires everything it touches. And now, for a brief and volatile moment, it sits fused inside the solar core, your identity center, your creative will, your consciousness. This isn't just light, it's electric truth. It doesn't ease you in, it wakes you up. And maybe you've already felt it. The sudden flashes of anxiety, the abrupt changes in direction, the strange sense that time is folding in on itself. Plans that fall apart without reason. Emotions that spike for no visible cause. The need to pull away from everything familiar, even when nothing seems wrong. This isn't you being irrational. It's your field reacting to a pulse of frequency too sharp to carry your old self with it. Uranus isn't chaos for the sake of chaos. It's divine intervention, disguised as instability. And when it meets the sun, it burns through everything false with ruthless precision. What's happening tomorrow isn't just astrological alignment. It's energetic exposure. The things you've hidden, the emotions you've bypassed, the truths you've been too afraid to speak, all of it is surfacing. Not to punish you, but because this frequency has no tolerance for masks. Can you feel it rising? The part of you that's done pretending. The version of you that can no longer participate in patterns that never felt like yours to begin with. That isn't restlessness, that's awakening. But awakening doesn't always feel like a sunrise. Sometimes it feels like rupture. And that's what this conjunction brings. Rupture as rebirth. Your nervous system might rebel, your mind might resist, but your soul knows this is the moment it's been preparing for in silence. That everything leading to this point was setting the conditions for a single sentence. Now. Now the structure breaks. Now the false rhythm ends. Now the deeper self takes the lead. And you don't need to know what that self looks like yet. You don't need to have the answers, or the plan, or the words. You just need to be willing to pause long enough to let the truth catch up to your form, because that's what this transit is. Not a storm passing overhead, but a frequency entering your system and burning through what's no longer aligned. And you're not here to resist it. You're here to respond from the inside out. So if you feel like everything is trembling, let it. If your body wants to stop, let it. If your mind won't cooperate, let it rest. The part of you that's being called forward isn't found through logic. It's summoned through surrender. And the more you soften into what feels like instability, the faster you'll find yourself reorganizing from truth instead of trauma. Tomorrow is not just another day. It's a threshold. And the version of you that's walking toward it is not the same one that began this week. Because this isn't just a transit, it's a trigger. And your energy, whether you realize it or not, is already shifting to meet it. Why Taurus makes this conjunction even more intense? It's tempting to think that the chaos is coming from above, from planets colliding in a sky too distant to touch. But the truth is, this Sun-Uranus conjunction is shaking something much closer. It's shaking the earth beneath your feet. Because it isn't just happening in the cosmos, it's happening in Taurus. The fixed earth sign, the anchor, the stabilizer, the root. And when a planetary disruptor like Uranus invades the very sign meant to keep everything steady, the tension becomes undeniable. Taurus doesn't like change. It's not designed for disruption. It values safety, rhythm, pattern, predictability. It wants to feel the ground solid beneath every step. But Uranus? Uranus is the opposite. It ruptures, it electrifies, it demands evolution. So when these two forces meet inside the same field, especially when the sun amplifies both, the result isn't soft growth. It's energetic contradiction so strong it splits timelines. You may have already felt the paradox inside your own body. The craving for stillness paired with the urge to escape. The need to feel safe conflicting with the instinct to run. The desire to be held colliding with the need to disappear. That's Taurus and Uranus fighting for control within you. One part of your system wants to preserve the structure. The other is desperate to be freed from it. This is why your habits have stopped working. Why the rituals that once calmed you now feel empty. Why the food you crave doesn't land. Why the spaces you called home no longer soothe you the way they used to. Taurus governs embodiment, and when Uranus floods that domain with voltage, your relationship to the physical world changes, not by choice, by necessity. And when the sun joins them, it doesn't just spotlight the tension, it magnifies it. You're not just noticing where your life feels misaligned, you're being electrically pushed out of it. This conjunction isn't subtle, it's cellular. It speaks through your bones, your skin, your breath. It shows up in your body's refusal to cooperate with old schedules. In the discomfort you feel trying to force productivity when your system only wants to pause. In the subtle grief of letting go of what once felt secure, even if it was never truly aligned. But here's the thing most people miss. The intensity of this moment isn't here to punish you for holding on too long. It's here to reward your willingness to let go. Even when letting go feels like standing in midair with no next step in sight. Because the thing about Taurus is, it grounds not just through habit, but through devotion. And if you can anchor into devotion to truth rather than comfort, this alignment doesn't have to tear you apart. It can rebuild you from the root, stronger, simpler, more honest. The discomfort you're feeling isn't failure. It's a signal that the container you built around your spirit is too small, that the timeline you've been walking is too tight for your expanding field. And Taurus, when activated, doesn't ask for you to abandon embodiment. It asks for you to redefine it. What does safety feel like when it's no longer built on external control? What does stability mean when it's not routine, but resonance? What if grounding isn't about staying still, but about aligning so deeply with your truth that you can't be knocked out of it, no matter how much energy moves through? That's the lesson buried under this explosive conjunction. That's the gift hidden beneath the tension. And it's not going to arrive in peace. It's going to arrive in the exact moment you stop fighting what you've already outgrown. Because Taurus isn't just Earth, it's fertile Earth. And what feels like the ground cracking right now might just be your roots breaking open to let something wild and electric finally bloom. There's a reason you've been feeling unpredictable, not just in your thoughts, but in your body, in your breath, in the way you respond to people who usually feel safe. The Sun-Uranus conjunction in Taurus is not just unfolding in the cosmos, it's detonating within your nervous system. And like any shock to the system, it doesn't arrive quietly. It shakes, it scrambles, it unsettles, and then it exposes. You may be noticing sudden mood swings, emotional outbursts, tears that surface without context. One moment you're fine, grounded, steady, yourself. The next, you're disconnected, irritable, or overwhelmed by a sensation that has no clear name. That's not instability. That's your field responding to a frequency surge it wasn't trained to hold. The emotional chaos you're feeling is not a personal failure. It's a natural response to electrical pressure. Uranus doesn't just activate awareness. It disrupts emotional suppression. Every feeling you've buried to keep your life moving smoothly, every truth you didn't say because it might have been too much, it's all surfacing now. Because when Uranus fuses with the Sun, your emotional field is stripped of its filters. There's no longer enough bandwidth to maintain emotional performance. All that's left is what's real and what's been repressed. This is why your patience is thin, why your temper surprises you, why people you love suddenly feel distant or overstimulating. You're not withdrawing from the world, you're trying to protect the fragmenting edge of your own sensitivity. And your system knows it can't hold what isn't honest anymore. There's also the inner resistance, that quiet tension just under the surface of everything you do. The push-pull between who you've been and who you feel yourself becoming. You try to stay in the familiar, the schedule, the voice, the relationship, the rhythm, and something inside pushes back. It's not boredom. It's the discomfort of being energetically misaligned and no longer able to ignore it. You feel stuck, but you're actually suspended between timelines, between versions, between stories. And that tension, that's the friction of becoming. It doesn't mean you're failing. It means something in you is starting to move, even if your outer life hasn't caught up yet. Some of you are experiencing this resistance physically. A weight in your chest, a clenching in your stomach, a dull ache in your shoulders as if you're carrying something you can't name. That's your body mirroring your inner conflict. Because when the field is this activated, you can't just push through without consequence. You either release or rupture. Have you been trying to hold it all together while pretending nothing's shifting? That might be the very reason why your energy feels scattered. Because right now, the truth doesn't want to be contained. It wants to be acknowledged, spoken, released. Not necessarily to others, but to yourself, in stillness, in silence, in breath. This is the emotional unraveling before realignment, and it's sacred. You are not broken. You are under review by your own soul. The parts of you that no longer resonate are being tested, and some won't survive the transition. That's okay. That's the work. The emotional chaos isn't a curse, it's a cleansing. And the resistance you feel isn't weakness. It's the last grasp of a version of you that senses it's about to dissolve. Let it. Let the feelings come and go like waves. Let the resistance speak and then fall quiet. Let the pressure build, not to break you, but to forge you. Because when the Sun and Uranus meet, you're not just being shaken, you're being rewritten. You're feeling it in ways that don't make sense. Your heart skips without cause. Your sleep is fractured. Your body buzzes even when you're still. You're not anxious, at least not in the way you've known anxiety before. What you're experiencing now is far more subtle, far more sacred, and far more electrical. Because when the Sun and Uranus fuse, it's not just an emotional event, it's a nervous system flare. And your body becomes the antenna. Your nervous system is not just reacting to your thoughts, it's responding to light data, information that's arriving faster than your conscious mind can process. And Taurus, as the sign that governs embodiment, takes this influx straight into your physical form. That's why you may feel like your senses are turned up to full volume, light too bright, sounds too sharp, words too much. Even silence can feel like pressure now, because your field is no longer filtering information the way it used to. This is not weakness, it's realignment. Your nervous system was trained to survive in repetition. Familiar emotions, familiar stress, familiar expectations. But Uranus doesn't honor familiarity. It breaks it, and the Sun doesn't soften that impact. It magnifies it. So what happens now is that your body, this intelligent living frequency, starts rejecting everything it used to tolerate. It's not sabotage, it's protection. You're not meant to hold energy the same way anymore. Have you felt the twitching, the shallow breath, the sensitivity in your skin? That's your energy field reorganizing itself around a new resonance. And during that process, your system pulls back from anything that distracts, drains, or distorts the signal. You may find yourself needing more solitude, not because you're lonely, but because your field is overloaded. Even eye contact can feel invasive now. Even gentle voices can seem sharp. And then comes the fatigue, that deep, dragging exhaustion that doesn't make sense. You slept, but you're tired. You rested, but you're not restored. That's because your energy is being spent on silent internal translation. What you think is tiredness is actually your system diverting energy toward decoding something new, something invisible but undeniable, something you didn't consciously ask for, but your higher self did. You are not malfunctioning, you are upgrading. And your nervous system is running diagnostics in real time, flagging everything that no longer fits in this new frequency. That includes your routines, your relationships, even your own reactions. You may find yourself emotionally blank one minute and overwhelmed the next. This isn't mood instability, it's field elasticity. You're stretching between timelines, and your body feels it first. So what can you do? Soften. Stop fighting your own wiring. Stop pushing through symptoms that are actually sacred signs. If your system says slow down, slow. If your breath shortens, pause. If your heart races when you open your phone, close it. You are not behind. You are in the middle of calibration, and it's in this exact space between the overactivity and the exhaustion that something else begins to emerge. Sensitivity as superpower. What once overwhelmed you now becomes your radar. What once disoriented you now helps you discern. You're learning how to live in a higher frequency without burning out. And that takes practice. That takes presence. Let your body lead, let your field speak. Because right now, your system isn't trying to shut you down. It's trying to reconnect you to the truth beneath the noise. And it knows exactly how to do that. If you stop overriding it in the name of functioning. You weren't designed to power through this kind of light. You were designed to attune to it slowly, softly, fully. And that's what this flare-up is asking you to remember. How to be present enough in your own skin that your soul has space to stay. How to hold your center during spiritual disruption. There's a moment in every awakening where everything you trusted to stabilize you starts to dissolve. The words don't land, the plans don't stick. The people you once turned to feel far away or too close, or suddenly unfamiliar. This is not a crisis. It's a clearing. And holding your center through this disruption isn't about staying calm. It's about remembering what's real when nothing else feels solid. During the Sun-Uranus conjunction, your identity gets temporarily disconnected from the framework you built it on. Your titles, your roles, your routines, even your voice, all feel less certain, like they belong to someone else. And maybe that's true. Maybe they were never really you, but just survival patterns shaped around expectations. And now, in this field of spiritual voltage, they can't hold anymore. So, how do you stay centered in the middle of something that's pulling your old life apart? You stop clinging to the structures and start listening to the signal. Because while the surface is shaking, your deeper self is not in danger. It's emerging, not through understanding, but through sensation. That instinct to cancel plans, that craving for solitude, that ache in your chest when you try to go back to something you've outgrown, that is your center speaking. It's not the loudest voice, it rarely is, but during disruption, the soul doesn't shout, it hums, it pulses, it repeats, and if you can get quiet enough, still enough, to feel that vibration beneath the chaos, you'll know exactly what to do next. Not because you figured it out, but because you remembered how to feel it. Holding your center right now doesn't look like perfect routines or spiritual performance. It looks like breathing, drinking water, touching the earth, putting your hand on your heart when the static gets loud. It looks like slowing down enough to notice what thoughts aren't yours anymore, what relationships aren't nourishing, What goals don't even resonate with the current version of you? This is a spiritual shockwave. And no, you weren't meant to carry it with elegance. You were meant to survive it with honesty. So if your body shakes, let it. If you cry for no reason, trust it. If you lose interest in everything that once defined your drive, don't force it back. This isn't depression, it's a pause from pretending. And the longer you can stay in that pause without running, fixing, or explaining it away, the clearer your next truth becomes. You might feel like you're floating without anchor right now. That's okay. You are between frequencies, between selves, and nothing about this space is designed to feel normal. Because you're not walking back into your old normal. You're walking into your actual alignment. Stability doesn't mean silence. It doesn't mean confidence. It means coherence. Your body, your breath, your energy moving together even when the outer world is disorganized. And coherence is built, not found. You build it by choosing presence over panic, stillness over stimulation, surrender over strategy. This alignment is not punishing you, it's purifying you. And what feels like disorientation is often just the body trying to find stillness after carrying too many false frequencies for too long. So place your hand on your chest. Ask, what's mine to hold? Then let go of what answers back with silence. You won't hold your center through this because you figured it out. You'll hold it because you finally remembered that the center was never outside you to begin with. There's a part of you that has never been seen, not fully. A version that didn't have space to exist inside the roles you were taught to play. A rhythm that didn't match the life you were told to maintain. And while you've caught glimpses of this self before, in dreams, in silence, in moments when everything around you finally went quiet, you never quite had the permission to let it live. Until now. This Sun-Uranus conjunction isn't just here to disrupt your patterns. It's here to activate the architecture of your future self, the one you've been orbiting but never fully landed in. And this version of you, it doesn't rise through pressure, it awakens through release. You're not being pushed toward improvement, you're being pulled into remembrance. The electric pulse in your system right now isn't trying to fix you. It's trying to remind you who you were before the coping mechanisms, before the tension, before the mask of normal became your energetic uniform. And that's why this moment feels so intense. Because the part of you that always knew this day would come is starting to stir. But you can't embody this next version of you by dragging the old one behind. You can't carry the expectations that were shaped by fear. You can't keep repeating stories that were built from survival. You can't keep performing for the comfort of others when your frequency is begging to be rewritten. And that's what this event is doing, Amma. It's not asking you to change. It's requiring you to shed, to unravel the artificial so the authentic can breathe. And not just in ideas, but in the body, in your habits, in how you speak, in what you allow, in what you no longer pursue. This version of you doesn't force resonance. It becomes resonance. That's why everything around you feels misaligned lately. That's why certain people don't recognize you anymore, or why you don't recognize the version of you they still expect to find. You are not slipping away. You are stepping forward. And those who can't see that shift, they were meant to witness your past, not your becoming. So if you feel distant, detached, deconstructed, that's not emptiness, that's clearing. And the more you let yourself be emptied, the more space you make for what's actually trying to arrive. There's a clarity in this energy, hidden beneath the chaos. A knowing, a certainty, not in the form of answers, but in the form of no longer being able to fake it. That's how you know this is real. Because you're not even trying to go back anymore. So breathe into that space, into the person you're no longer trying to escape, into the stillness that finally feels like home. The next version of you isn't waiting to be achieved, it's waiting to be allowed. And this conjunction didn't just disrupt your timeline, it split it. And now, the question is simple. Which version of you walks forward from here? You already know the answer. You've always known. You were just waiting for the current to be strong enough to carry it. And now it is.